Hey guys, welcome to Calm Belly TV. Today I am going to talk about the 3 things you must track when you are testing FODMAPs, all right? And then I'm going to share one thing that you actually don't need to pay attention to, or that's not super important to be strict about, all right? So I am Julie O'Hara. My website is calmbellykitchen.com. And I'm a health coach who specializes in helping women manage IBS with delicious food, not deprivation. All right, so welcome. Thank you so much for watching. If you're watching the replay, you can leave your questions and tag me. I will do my best to come back and answer them. And if you're watching live, feel free to hop in and say hi. I love it. I love your comments. This is a really casual weekly live chat where I cover a topic, and at the end, I save room to answer any questions that you have about FODMAP. All right, so let's get right into the 3 things you need to track. All right, I'm just making sure that there's no comments. Facebook has been changing everything and it's been weird, so hopefully it works. Okay, so, all right, when I say, to make sure we're on the same page, when I say testing FODMAPs, I mean the phase where you start bringing back high FODMAP foods and testing them one by one, really methodically, to find out what your personal IBS triggers are and your personal tolerance levels are for all those high FODMAP foods. And once you do that, you can actually start eating them again and develop a whole new eating style that's based on your unique triggers and your tolerances and what you can eat and what you want to avoid to have a calm belly for the rest of your life. So that's what I mean when I say testing FODMAPs. It's going through that process of bringing them back one by one to really learn your unique triggers. Okay, so the 3 things you need to track. Now, I wonder if anyone's leaving comments because it makes me worry that the app isn't working. All right, we're gonna go with it. So the first thing you should track when you're testing FODMAPs is the date. I know that sounds really basic, and I'm going to pull up my notes because I actually really have good stuff here to talk about, but you need to always keep track of the date. And the reason why is because this is what's going to start to show you the pattern in your body's symptoms, all right? So if you just say, a lot of people go in and say, okay, well, I'm going to try a piece of bread, and they're not doing it in that really systematic way. So maybe they get symptoms a couple days later and they can't remember if they had bread on Monday or they had it on Tuesday. And then things start to get jumbled and you kind of wonder if your effort is paying off. So what you want to do is get yourself a spreadsheet or an app, or I'm about to plug the free thing that I have to help you do this. It's a free test food tracker and you can download it on my website, totally free. It's really awesome, actually. So it helps you track the date and track your food and track your symptoms. So by keeping track of those dates, you're going to be able to see, okay, so I tried bread on Monday and 2 days later I had some symptoms. And then I tried bread again on Thursday and 2 days later I had some symptoms. And really quickly, when you start this process, you're going to start to see your body's patterns. And when the pattern is off, you can kind of look and make sure that nothing else weird is going on. Was there another factor that could have caused some weird symptoms? So you really want to make sure you're tracking it just like you're a scientist collecting data. You're back in like high school chemistry, which I hated personally, but for this it's a lot more fun because it's all about you and it's about food. So be sure to track the dates so you can start to see when the symptoms pop up. So you want the date that you had the test food and then the date when you notice any symptoms. All right, so the second thing you need to track when you're testing FODMAPs, looking at my notes, is your test food amount, okay? So the reason I'm talking about this is I want to highlight that you want to make sure you're doing this in a really methodical way, and there's a good reason for that. So again, people might think, all right, I should test the amount that I would normally eat in my everyday life. I would never eat a whole onion, so why would I test a whole onion, or whatever it is? Why would I ever test 3 pieces of bread? I would never eat that much. But you're doing it for a purpose, all right? So you're starting out with a really small amount. So that's key for a couple reasons. You're starting out with an amount that would be smaller than any average serving size. And you can kind of look at the Monash app to refer to what a typical serving size of something would be, and you want to go much smaller than that. So the reason for that is just to test the waters, because this process shouldn't be scary and stressful. So if you're going to have terrible symptoms or a terrible reaction to something, that little amount will give you just a little indicator that you want to be cautious moving forward. So if that tiny bit gives you symptoms, then you want to say, okay, maybe I'm really sensitive to this FODMAP category, and I'm just going to really be careful and make sure that I'm not like going on an 8-hour road trip when I test the medium-sized serving. So you want to keep track of your amounts, and you're going to start with a small amount, and then kind of an average medium amount, and then a large amount. And why do you need to go to that large amount? Because you're testing your tolerance level. You're not just saying yes or no to all these different foods, like, yes, this was good, no, this one, I'm never going to eat it again. That's not the point. The point is to test your level of tolerance. So there's a very good chance that having a tiny bit of almost any FODMAP food is going to be okay, but for some foods you can have more, for some foods you have to keep it super small. And that's why you want to track your amounts and make sure you're going with small, medium, and large as you test each food. Okay, so I see people coming on live. I wonder if you guys are leaving comments and I'm not seeing them because now I'm always paranoid about the Facebook app not working. So I'm just like checking on my laptop to see. But there's my voice. Okay. Like, tell me if you guys are leaving comments. Actually, someone say hi, so it comes up. Everyone just like say hi. Okay, I don't think I have any comments yet, so that's good. That means the app is not broken yet. Okay, so let's recap real quick. The 3 things to track when you test FODMAPs, starting at, you want to track the dates of your test food. Yay, thank you so much, Rexine. Hi. I'm worried. I had one of these videos where I just didn't see any comments, and it was terrible. Okay, so you want to track the date of not only when you have the food, but of when your symptoms happen, so you can see patterns. 2, you want to track the amounts of the food. And I'm putting that in there to emphasize that it's really important that you go with the small, medium, and large, and you don't just say, all right, I'm just going to try a piece of bread, and that's good, and it's either a yes or a no. So that's not what you want to do, because you'll never know your tolerance level. Okay, the 3rd thing that you want to track when you're testing FODMAPs, and this is a juicy one, I'll tell you why, it's your symptoms, okay? I mean, obviously, you want to track your symptoms, but you want to get specific, okay? Not only the dates of those symptoms, but of course, write down what it was. And the reason for that is that you're building a little safety net in case any outside factors are affecting you while you're doing this testing. So, for example, maybe you get really severe symptoms, like just awful, terrible, you're a couple days, you just feel crummy, but it only happens with one test food throughout the whole process. Those really bad symptoms only happen once, and you think it's kind of weird. So what that would tell you is maybe something else was going on. Like, were you sick? Could you have had a bad piece of seafood or whatever, something like that? Did you have a terrible day at work? Were you giving a presentation and you were really nervous? Like, all those things could have contributed to that extremely severe symptom, and it wasn't necessarily the test food like you might have thought it was. So if that happens, all you do is, you give it another try. You can start small if you're afraid of really bad symptoms, and if that seems to go fine, have a little more and just verify what the results really are if you get some sort of weird result like that. The other reason is you want to see if certain FODMAP categories give you different symptoms, because the goal of this whole process is that in the end, you'll be able to choose what to eat based on how you know your body reacts. So you're not guessing. You're not saying, well, I'm going to have a milkshake. Maybe it'll be terrible. Maybe it'll be great. You don't have to do that, because you're going to know, well, am I very likely to have a reaction from this milkshake? And if so, what's that reaction going to be like? So maybe when you test lactose, you get just really awful bloating. But with all the other FODMAPs, you might have different symptoms, whatever else. But with lactose, you always get bloated. So that's really valuable information. And maybe you can drink cream in your coffee, but that if you have a milkshake that you're likely to get some bloating. So you can make your choices in the future based on actual knowledge of how you know you're going to react to these different types of FODMAPs. So does that make sense? Does that kind of like break it down a little bit, you know, and what the purpose of this is? It's to really see what how you personally react, what your unique IBS triggers are, because they are never going to be the same for everybody. You're not going to have to give up every FODMAP food for the rest of your life. You're just going to learn which ones you're more likely to have symptoms from and which ones you aren't. And it's going to be different all across the board. And that's why the testing is so important. And tracking this stuff is how you figure it out, right? So what do you think? What do you think, guys? Do you have any questions for me about testing, about tracking your results, or any FODMAP stuff in general? Yeah, put it in the comments. And I will plug it again. You can get my free tracker. It's a fillable PDF. It's actually really cool. It's like a worksheet, but you can fill it in on your computer, and it lets you track throughout the whole process, your dates, your food, your symptoms, your amounts, and the front sheet is like a little plan that lets you sort of plan out what you'll test and when you're going to start. So it's designed to be kind of motivating and you know, get you to make a plan and get going. So go to calmbellykitchen.com, and it'll be on every page of the website. The first page that pops up will be a download the tracker. So definitely get that. All right, Rixine says, I've always stayed away from foods completely if I react, so this has been so helpful to know I don't have to eliminate certain foods entirely. Oh, good. That's what I was trying to get across, and I'm glad I actually communicated it clearly, because on live video, sometimes sometimes things go awry, or it gets windy outside and you can't hear me. Okay, good. But yeah, and it's very true. You've basically summarized it for us, which I really appreciate. And yeah, it's really important to know that you might react to something like garlic, but only if you have, you know, a good size amount of it, and you don't have to worry about looking at every ingredient on your crackers and your chicken broth for that tiny little bit of garlic, because that tiny bit is probably not going to bother you, you know, and that's what you can learn, and that's how you can help bring back all these foods that you're missing. So yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for joining, Rixine. Does anybody have any other questions, FODMAP or testing or tracking? I'll be happy to answer. And if not, you can always tag me if you're watching the replay. Go to calmbellykitchen.com and download the free tracker. I'll put the link too under this video. But thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you soon. Next week, same time, same channel. All right, bye.